I've written two fiction short stories, which is not many, but two in the last few weeks. And the first was really easy for me to complete, which I was surprised by, but it was almost entirely based on real events. So the first 75% was basically taking the true events and sort of putting them in a different wardrobe, but it came out very easily. And then I had to fuss with it and have a few cups of coffee to figure out the rest. But in the process of a few hours, I was able to write a 2-page short story, very short. And then I decided, well, let me try something that's really more from the imaginary realm. And this proved to be, I think, going to the deep end of the pool without my floaties on my arms, maybe a little too early. And I got into this story that I've been working on, and I'm 5-6 pages in, and I'm just like, where is this going? I have no fucking idea how to wrap this up. What's the point of it? So all these voices. My specific question is, if I don't know where it's going and I have no idea what to do, and therefore I'm even more prone to putting off the writing for polishing my tennis shoes or fixing the doorknob or whatever excuse I can come up with, would you personally, for you or your students, just start writing anything at all to get the hands moving, even if it's not related to the story? In other words, if you're halfway through some larger project, but you really don't know what to do, will you just write on something that's completely unrelated?
Well, I believe that the people and the material know who they are and what they do, and that they need to trust that you're a reliable narrator. And this brings me to a whole thing that I could do an hour on, which is that if you grew up around alcoholics or the mentally ill, the first thing you agree to is to see what's going on, right? Because it makes them so unhappy if you notice. So you agree, for your whole life, you just agree not to see what's going on. And so you lose the ability to trust yourself as the narrator of your own story. And so the material and the characters will give you themselves and their actions as they trust you to get it right. And so for me, that's why I really believe in the quiet and the silence. And I taught the 5-year-olds in their writing workshop, close your eyes. There's a screen on the back of your eyes. Can you see the people? What can you tell me about them? So you can get very quiet and close your eyes and go inward. And then you can ask the people, you can ask the characters, what were you thinking then? What did you feel your choices were? Why were you not willing to just say what was true, and that you had the answer they were looking for? You had the missing purse, or you had whatever. You can ask them, tell me something about you. And what do you think in this circumstance would be plaguing you? Here's the thing with the story, you might want to ask yourself, what's at stake? Like you're trying to get to know these characters better. You can write it 20 pages. And Tim, I'm promising you this. You can write a 20-page short story. You can take out 8 pages, and then you can send me the 12, and I'll edit it for you. But the thing is that something has to be at stake. So you ask yourself and your characters, what do they love most in the world? What are they at risk of losing? If they're not at risk, there's no story there. Could be a child. It could be their sobriety. It could be their life. But what do they stand to lose? So ask them, and you can look at them. Maybe there's 2 or 3 main characters, and you ask them, what couldn't you lose? And then you put some pressure on that, where that could be at risk. And then you can see how they, in fact, respond. Do they run? Do they put their fingers in their ears and go, la, 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 la? Do they drink? Only you know, and these people inside of you know, and you can ask them. But the main question is, there has to be something at stake in every story that any of us are going to, you're the ancient tribal storyteller, and you've said, do you all have a minute? I've got a story to tell you. And we sit around you at the fire on the stones, and you tell us the story. Now, we all love stories about ourselves, right? That's what the tribal storyteller tells. And that's what people like about my stories, that because they're the stuff in me that I know is universal, it holds up a mirror to them. And so you say, if nothing happens in your story, if nothing happens to the favorite character, what's the story? It's not a story. But so if it's
Right.
yeah. And then what you as the writer do is mess with them. They couldn't survive if they lost their partner, if the partner left them. That's the single most driving force in their life. They couldn't function if they lost their sobriety. That's what causes them to panic. They couldn't stand it if something happened to one of their kids. Lean on them. And then you can keep just closing your eyes and studying them. You know, if you have two characters who hate each other, put them in an elevator that breaks down, and see how they react. To figure out what they can't stand to lose. And then you've got us on the seat. Oh, please don't let that happen. No, don't make that. What's going to happen?